Good afternoon, friends. I was always thrown a challenge to speak after lunch, but here I'm speaking after wine tasting or gin tasting session as well. So that doubles up the fun. It's nice to be here amongst you. A stark difference between many other slightly boring corporate sessions that I've attended in this. This is a room full of smiling and happy people. So a big round of applause to all of you. You're in the right business. I have good news for you and a bad news for you. What do you want first? Okay. Most jobs are going to disappear. It's not going to happen only in the corporate world. It's not going to happen only with programming. It's not going to happen in sectors that you deem high tech or low wage. It's also going to hit the high wage earners. It's also going to hit people who spend years and years and years honing their skills. I've seen that happen. You also have seen that happen. But sometimes we don't see the writing on the wall. But there's good news also. We're not fighting against AI. We are fighting against humans who use AI. So, your fight is against somebody. If you want to win, take AI on your side. And if you want to lose, let it be. We can continue to be in our shelters. So now that I have your attention with pin drop silence, let's get back to some fun and have a look at what AI is doing for us in the world. Right? How many of you have been playing around with this new kid on the block, ChatGPT? Yeah? I see less hands up than I was hoping. DALL-E? Okay, nice, some hands. Right? Any other tools that you're using, playing around with? Okay. Okay? Okay? You should be up on stage. Yeah. Right? So see, these tools will keep coming and going, but the fact is that even if you've not, I'm here to help make this beginning for you, to try and tell you what's really happening in the world. Okay, let me talk about something else that you're probably playing with. How many of you invest money in the stock market? Okay. How many of you also invest money and try and invest or rather trade F&O? Okay. How many of you have lost money on F&O? Invest kiya hai, haroge, because the data says that you're around 93 or 98% humans who are investing money in F&O have lost. And whom are you losing to? Are you losing to smarter people? You're losing to AI. You're losing to software which is instantly calculating 100 things that are happening. They're tracking data which you have no idea about. They're tracking what's happening with Hezbollah in Iran and know what's happening with oil prices and know what percentage of that impacts the fertilizer prices and what percentage of that impacts the food prices and what percentage of that impacts inflation and which business is going to profit and which business is going to lose. How can you compete? But there are things that we can do. We can leverage it. And I'm here to talk about that. How many of you use Google Maps for navigation? इस पे तो हाथ ऊपर कर लो. Yeah. You're already using AI. How many of you use Amazon to buy something? And how many of you have tried to return? Two hands up. I love you guys as customers. Yeah. So everybody who's got two hands up, they are wonderful customers to have. How many of you have tried returning a product on Amazon? Yeah. Have you seen how their returns have become now compared to 5 years ago? What is your wait time when you start to chat? Lower? You're already dealing with AI. Yeah. Some of you are from chains which are already implementing AI. Any of your chains already implementing parts of AI? Okay. No hands up. I can probably get away with anything now. So AI, I have a customer of mine, a client of mine. Most of my, what he talked of as day job on what Saurabh talked about and ma'am talked about. My day job is digital marketing and writing content. I write for people. We write for CEOs around the world. We write for brands. We do marketing for them. And making their phone ring, essentially, using performance marketing or Google Ads. And we write content for them for social media well before AI came in and started writing content. So in that sense, it's an original skill that we still have. You'll know whether it's original or not because you suddenly find people who are otherwise quiet and believe in monosyllable conversations suddenly writing proses on social media. You've seen that? Yeah? And you can also recognize that text now, right? So while it's a brand new tool in your pocket, but you also see that it becomes easy to identify the fakes. With experience, you can spot that. But AI is doing some very interesting things as well. So AI for drug discovery, right? And to keep it simple, let's talk about a disease which may not have a cure. But the pharmaceutical company already has 10,000 drugs, some of which have been made, some of them have reached a stage where it is not yet ready for production and been shelved because it is not suitable for the disease it was trying to cure. That drug may be suitable for a disease which is incurable, right? It's something like Velcro was made or Teflon was made for spaceships, but now is used in your kitchens as well. So it's something like that, some story like that. So that can be used for faster discovery of drugs. It is also used by hospitals, yeah, to analyze data of patients, medical records of patients, to identify which patient has got cancer far better than a human can identify. You also probably heard stories where AI can pass the lawyer test very easily or can diagnose diseases as accurately, if not better, than doctors. There's something that came out just today, and I forget the source, but it's come in today's Economic Times, if I'm not mistaken, which says that doctors diagnose something at 72% accuracy, doctors with AI diagnose it at 77% accuracy, and AI itself diagnosed it at 95 or something percent accuracy, right? So it's not scary anymore because here it can be used to save lives. You go with the report to a doctor, and all of us have probably experienced this in our lives with some family member. The doctor cannot identify the thing correctly, and 3 months later it turns out to be the same thing. We know of stories like this. So AI will actually save lives as well. And you're all contributing to AI becoming better. So all those questions about AI asking humans to prove that they are humans, asking to identify the squares which are showing cars, you've seen that? Or bridges or sidewalks. You're actually improving the self-driving cars algorithm. You're actually helping AI become better. Because what's the biggest challenge in AI? It is to be able to train that model. And how do you train that model? It's like training a dragon, right? So how do you train that model? You train the dragon by making it better and better at recognizing an object. So I'll give you an interesting, going off topic away from hospitality, just giving you the broader picture, because the sense I get after coming here is that let me talk about the broader picture, then we'll see how it helps in hospitality, right? So there was I will not take names, but there was a person, a terrorist, whose grainy photograph was available with the detectives, with the Indian agencies and intelligence services. And there was a reason to apprehend him because they had got some information that that particular person was plotting something big. And this is a real story. This happened in the last 12 months. How did they catch him? The Indian spy agencies had been able to infiltrate phones of everybody. It's not just an Israel phenomenon, right? And they managed to activate, they had a sense that he's in a particular geographic location. So let's say they activated all the phones in, say, the Panjim area. And all the phones in the Panjim area took photographs of whatever they could see and started submitting that information back to the central database. They already knew the location. They already had grainy photographs. Now remember, it's challenging. The photograph from the front and the photograph from the side where you can see only a part of the ear, part of the nose is not the same. But you're already seeing it using Google Photos, right? How many of you use Google Photos? It recognizes your photographs. So similar technology, but far more advanced. And by capturing the grainy photograph from everybody in that area, you can imagine the entire city of 1 lakh people became informers, right? Within half an hour, they caught the person. It doesn't always work. There are too many things about human rights that will come into play over here. But that's what the level of technology is today. And that is the power of AI which you can use. Because by comparing a small marginal grainy photograph from somebody else's phone and comparing the photograph on file, they manage to apprehend the person. Tel Aviv, Israel, there's a startup in Israel which has now got permission to not just give information, but actually to execute buy and sell transactions on behalf of its clients. So stockbrokers, how many of you go to stockbrokers? They're now softwares doing their job. How many of you have tried understanding the terms of your legal insurance, detailed terms of insurance, that fine print which anyways we can't read even at age 20? You have? Yeah? You have to compare because in the fine print always comes out that, sir, aapko claim nahi milega. Right? AI can help you understand the key points of that and differences between two particular policies in a matter of hours? No, seconds. How many of you have made PowerPoint presentations for yourselves or your clients? Yeah? And how much time does it take you typically to make a presentation? Too long? Come to me. Yeah. So base presentation, including what should go on the presentation and basic text, can be made in less than 5 minutes using AI. But then you have to customize it. It will not fit your style and flavor. Okay. And I'm talking about generic stuff. I'm not talking of rocket science. Yeah. How many of you make SOPs for your businesses? How many of you have a tough time tracking stock in your businesses? Kitna maal bacha hai kitchen mein, right? All of you do if you're making money, right? How many of you have difficulty, know your VVIP clients by name and you know what they like? That's a mark of a hospitality professional. If you're awake, raise your hand up, right? Yeah. What if you were to extend that to everybody walking in through the doors, or almost everybody walking in through the doors, if there's some transaction history? How many of you are now starting to have customers saying that I have a heart problem, I love my paneer butter masala and extra makhan maar ke naan, can you make it healthier? Yeah. There's an actual case study, we've done that for a client, right? Where you can use, so the essence is you're removing the skill out of it, right? So you may raise your hand up, but that's because you've got a large amount of skill, right? But imagine this translating down to the lowest person on the line, he'll say, healthy paneer butter masala, makhan aur maru, kya karu? Cream aur zyada dal दूं, right? There are ways, and you know it, the experts amongst you know it. But the point is that if people like us who are not experts in it are being asked to create SOPs for our clients, which we do, then you understand that's removing the skill away, right? Because you all are experts, you all have trained in it. I have graduated from Maggi pasta to making good quality pasta. There's a big difference, right? वो 25 रुपए का packet versus 500 bucks plus in your hotels. There's a big difference in the quality and taste and so on. But essentially what it's doing is de-skilling the entire thing. It's bringing down the skill down to the lowest level. And therefore there will be a job loss. Because what you earlier required to pay somebody 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs to do, now you can also outsource it on a case-by-case basis to us or people like us, or have somebody smart in your company working on this for doing that work for an hour a day, and the output is far more than what a normal person will do in a month. Okay? Complex billing softwares, right? Expenses, tough job managing ki, arey, phone, this expense was a phone expense and why have you classified it as a XYZ category expense, right? Can't you see there's a Vodafone or Airtel or something written? All of us have seen this, right? Automated now. There's a huge churn that is happening. It's up to us whether we want to leverage it or not. And I obviously need your help to unlock. I don't know your password yet. So here the common thread is that AI has this ability to process a vast amount of data, crunch it intelligently, analyze it, and give suggestions, or even take action on your behalf if you decide to, using tools that you may decide to use. You don't need to be a computer programmer to do it. You don't have to go to somebody who has the skills to do the programming, which may not exist in your state, the happy state of the world. But there are ways to get this done. So I will be discussing about this revolution that is now there at your doorsteps, whether you like it or not. And hopefully in the next whatever time we have, and I'm not keeping track of the time, so you'll have to prompt me that ho gaya bas side mein aao, is either you build a shelter or you build a windmill. That choice is yours. But you don't have the choice of inaction, because that has long gone a decade ago. So this is interestingly a graphic that was thrown up by my automated software, which I use, a simple chat GPT application which you can play around with, and you should play around with. It's a free service if you decide to use a free version. If you decide to use a paid version, there's lots more that you can do. I mean, that's the difference between the Maggi pasta and the gourmet pasta that you have in your places, right? You'll have to invest money in it, you'll have to invest time in it. But it also be careful of something that is classically known as hallucination. AI is famous for hallucination because AI is taking in the biases that humans have. So if humans have a bias that they bluff, AI also bluffs. So when AI does not know, it'll make up its answer and give it to you, and you believe it and go and implement it, there'll be a problem. Right? Keep that in mind when you play around with it. App Store, Play Store, you have the app available on it, ChatGPT, you should play around with it. Take it for a test drive. Right? Don't take business decisions on the basis of that, because that's a long story. It is like me opening a restaurant selling Maggi pasta. It won't work. Yeah, I can't compete with you guys. Right? But it's good to play around with it. It's good to understand what's happening. If you have a specialized business requirement, then dedicate extra time and resources into it. So if you're a chef and you want to actually learn on how to make healthy paneer butter masala, Google it. Some of you already know what to do. The others, ChatGPT with basic information also will start throwing you the correct answer. Right? You'll probably supplement paneer with tofu, or a little bit of tofu. You'll throw out the cream and you'll put in some cashew paste, etc., etc., etc. Right? But you'll start coming out with options. So let me talk about some place where AI is actually supplementing human potential, right? McDonald's, they've tested AI voice recognition system to take orders from humans on their drive-thrus. They've also stopped their public test. That's a different story. But their private tests continue. And number of brands, McDonald's is one, Taco Bell is another, Wendy's is a third. And all these are brands that you know. They're actually testing replacing humans with automated software where they'll hear the voice, recognize it, and take action and place your order. It's not rocket science, right? AI-driven inventory management is helping people streamline their stock, which is often tough. Real-time stock management, predictive ordering, based on what orders are actually being sold, or based on your occupancy levels in the hotel and the kind of customer mix that is coming in, taking a call and deciding that these are the kind of things that we probably require for the next 5 days. All intelligent tasks. All of you are doing it well, right? But it requires a certain amount of experience and certain amount of skill. So it is not doing the things that you don't know how to do, except that the skill is probably not there in your hotel with more than 2 people, 3 people, 5 people to intelligently do it, right? It is de-skilling that operation. These things can now be done by people who've got lesser experience, lesser insights. No 2 people are equal. But it is learning fast, and it's learning from thousands of people around the world. And you are teaching it. So on stock taking, a friend of mine, he runs a factory in Madhya Pradesh making pipes. And he's implemented an AI-based camera, which is actually taking photographs of trucks as they are moving, right? By just that single shot of the photograph, he's able to accurately identify how many pipes are going from his factory. That has helped him reduce pilferage, and because pipes can be put inside pipes, like the Matryoshka dolls, right? It's helped him reduce pilferage. It's helped him reduce the number of people who are accurately counting pipes. Same thing can be done with you. I'm taking photographs of my bills. The software is automatically reading the data as far as the bills is concerned and putting it in my expense sheet and categorizing it correctly. That's something that you can implement. It'll save you time. This is the example that I talked about, menu design and meal pairing. There's a science behind it. The ones who are the experts over here know what to be done. But AI is making it, de-skilling that job. AI is making it easier for more and more people to implement it. I'm sure Mr. Suptankar is looking at that, Areva, I can now start one more branch in this place because it doesn't require me to stand there in meal pairing and upselling skills. Yeah. So, and this is something that we've done for a chain where we don't have the expertise and experience. So there's a cost, right? If you've got an experienced person trying to do it, then you are investing money on a daily basis. You are taking the person off from his regular duty. That person is an expert on managing customers, guest relations. And you put the person down on research and development, which can easily be outsourced or easily be developed by somebody who does not necessarily have the skill of guest management with a basic cooking skill. This is actually making these decisions. And so this, we've even boiled down to the points that these are the tweaks and recipes to be done. This is the bill of material. These are the nutritional values. And for the chefs on the line, the earlier meal was cooked in this way. But in this one, these are just the 2 differences that you need to make as far as cooking is. Baki sab same hai, right? That simplifies you to be able to institutionalize your decision. Any other method, you'll probably have to do a lot of cooking. And the cost for doing this is the same as you would have invested in people actually taking the time out, standing, cooking, testing, refining, and coming out with the correct product. Yeah? So essence is speed to market and cost saving. These are possible. AI allows you to personalize at scale. It allows you to suggest things to people based on their personal preferences. There are companies which have implemented AI chatbots. You've already interacted with Amazon, so you know what I'm talking about. But these are handling customer inquiries, these are handling cancellations, reservations, and responding to immediate requirements of guests. So when your interactive voice-based response system came in on telephones, it was a big productivity jump for some type of people. This is a jump. It's not a small thing to say that probably AI may be the electricity for the next 20 years, as powerful as electricity for the next 20 years. You can use it to implement digital concierges. And these are people who know your past preferences. These are people which know that you like gluten-free. These are people which can give you suggestions based on your preferences, or vegan for that matter. These are things that can be used to give suggestions based on the preferences of that particular customer, come out with recipes. And when the guest is actually walking in or interacting, you can actually start giving the guest suggestions with your existing staff, which is trained on what to offer. So while in the graphic that I made using AI right in the beginning, I've used robots as waiters, but that is not happening at most places anytime soon. मैं कुछ भी बोलूं, there's always a smart person in the room says, sorry, you're too late. So that is going to happen more and more, right? So you have that one-off trial which you're doing. 10 years later, the form, shape, etc. will change. It'll get more sophisticated, right? Yep. So you have personalization which is happening. You have him at Hyderabad which is doing a test. Jobs ka kya hoga? There's a big challenge, right? Now, you think that only humans are needed to understand and give empathy to the customer? Hospitality? Let's talk about something else. Healthcare. You have a Japanese company, I forget the name of the robot, I think it's Pepper or something. Masayoshi Son, the same person who also invested in Oyo. He's also invested in that startup. So that robot actually is deployed in banks and healthcare. And based on the tone of the voice and the facial expressions and the way the eyes are dilated when the person is speaking, that is actually able to understand what is the emotion level of that customer and handles it accordingly, right? And that takes a lifetime to learn in hospitality. For all of you experienced, you know, you shouldn't have said this to the customer, you should have just said this, right? And that would have made the difference between a 1-star review and a 5-star review. That would have made the difference between a happy customer coming back again and again, right? Robots are actually recognizing that. And you know the advantage of the robot as far as this is concerned? It doesn't have mood swings. It's not worried about ghar pe ye hua and tabit mein aisa hai and I have to go back home for this and I have to get out for that. Or my boss said this and my boss said that. It has that same level of high service day after day, week after week, month after month, till the day it decides to violate Asimov's laws. Never kill a human. Thou shalt not kill a human. More on that later. That's already been violated, by the way, but still, more on that later. So the smart ones amongst you know that you have to stock up more, pre-prep more based on certain days of the week, certain times of the day, certain seasons of the year, and on certain special days where there's a match of some type of the other that's happening. If India wins, this will sell. If India loses, this will sell, right? AI only helps you make those decisions faster. You can use your data, your historic data, to come out with predictive answers on what's going to happen, right? This gets tough because you have to come in with feed it with lots of data. Yeah, it gets tough because it's like my Maggie pasta story, right? There's lots of nuances, and if you don't get it right, the machines will always win. So if you use performance marketing, and that's what a lot of what we do, if you do performance marketing or pay-per-click marketing for specifically trying to sell your restaurant, for example, that I want to target the people in 5-kilometer radius who are looking for a meal in the evening, who are tourists and looking for a meal in the evening, that is possible using technology today. So your unsold seats in your restaurant, last-minute reservations coming in from visitors to the state who can't ask anybody, and whoever's recommending will recommend with a bias. So these are things that are actually happening. But there, if you use a machine-generated algorithm, the machine always wins, the house always wins. That is not as cost-efficient as a manual system, even now, because everything has a bias loaded in. Remember that. So AI can help for you offer a personalized VIP treatment for every customer walking in, provided it has access to past data, right? All of you have traveled reasonably well, and some of you have also used Digi-Yatra-enabled airports. You know what I'm talking. Recognize your customer when the customer walks in. Give everybody a VIP treatment. Say, hello, Mr. XYZ, good to see you. And can I give you vegan XYZ product? Because I know that the customer's got a track record of paying that. And I know the customer likes your food, so we can say that, okay, we've had him who's come in over here, who's curated your meal, who's curated the menu for us, so why don't you come in, right? Because it gives you a 360-degree view on customers at times based on the tech that you use. It tells you what the customer's been doing at different places, combines the data and tries to give you that information. So it helps your ordinary staff at times offer a VIP personalized service. So while all this is only about assistive mode, but newer and newer things are coming in which are also for AI to take action. I give you the stock trading example and FNO trading example as action. Yeah? Where not only is it giving information to a human, it's also taking that action on the basis of that. So I have very recently seen, and I'm sticking to an example from your industry, you feed in the AI menus and then to make a particular meal becomes as easy as just putting in the ingredients in a dabba. The machine does everything else. It's not far away. I've seen it in action. I've tasted the food. Yeah. But the best part is you can win. We'll start off with our discussion and let's have some fun. I don't mean to leave you in silence. Let's have some fun. I mean it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, in popular culture, we've all seen, movies like The Matrix and things like that. And we've always thought that could never be possible. It is far away, but it's not very far. We are all a part of the system. And as Lalit said, we have to be a part of it. We have to continue with it. There's no way that we can escape it. We all say, okay, fine, we're not going to be a part of Facebook. We're not going to be a part of Instagram and things like those. But you are on Swiggy, right? You're on Zomato. You're ordering your food. Do you know, you always get these things, recommended foods for you. What is that? That's AI. It's as simple as that. So there's nothing that you cannot escape this kind of tech coming up. You're all a part of the system. I have a few questions. Specifically, getting into the F&B industry, there's a lot of, there's this combination of AI with robotics. So how does that come into picture? We've spoken about AI which is virtual, but robotics is something physical. So how does that come into picture now into the market?
As things move forward, it's going to get easier and easier and more robotics. As it moves forward, robotics will get more and more integrated. So basically the difference between example that I showed you earlier was robots. Robots are machines which are going to do exactly what you want. But the intelligent part of it is like the body and the brain. The brain part of it will usually be either a simple computer program. The old computer program would have been walk from here to there. The new computer program is that your objective is to get there. So you'll have the person go this way, or if there's a jam, the person will go around and so on. And you'll find your basic parameters. That I want to reach in the fastest manner, cheapest manner, I want to reach come what may. To become something like Vakratunda Mahakaya, Surya Koti Samprabha, bulldoze your way through it, right? So the method that you choose is going to be robotics, is going to give you the tools to actually implement it. Now Saurabh already has his hotel in Hyderabad, which already has a robot, which is doing guest interaction. Serving the food as well, right? So you already have the implementation of robotics which are coming into play. There's a restaurant in Boston, if I'm not mistaken, which is entirely robots. There's another one in Japan which is entirely robots. Not a single human, right? There are hotels, of course, that we've seen famously. There's a Dragon Hotel, if I remember right, somewhere in Japan, where everybody from the receptionist to the room service is done by robots. And if not Japan, where else to begin with? This is going to happen more and more. You'll be seeing them more and more. How many of you have seen videos of Tesla self-drive cars? Yeah, in the Bay Area, you already have robot taxis where there's not a human inside it. And these taxis are run by, not by the General Motors and Ford and Maruti and so on. One of the companies is owned by Google, the other company is owned by Apple. The highest selling car companies today, or the most hyped car companies today, are companies that were not the traditional Chicago Motors, Detroit area. They are the Teslas of the US, which has got no history with automobiles until 5, 10, 15 years ago. Elon Musk was a South African who made his money using PayPal, which all of you use. The company which is beating that in numbers is Byte, I forgot the name. That's what happens on stage. Is the company from China, which is actually selling more electronic EVs than Tesla is today. Norway last 1 month, they've sold more EVs than Ice Age or internal combustion engines or petrol diesel engines.
Fine. Okay. Yeah, I mean, just adding to them, I mean, earlier Lalit mentioned brands like McDonald's, Wendy's, KFC, and all these brands in the market. I mean, recently I've been doing a lot of research. I'm trying to get myself completely into AI related to hospitality. I've seen things go easy, like a McDonald's for that instance. They are on a testing phase where, a certain sauce that has to be made, and they wanted universal. So now they don't need to send the recipe to their branches all around the world. What they do is they design it on their master, how would I call that, a robot or the system out there, wherever in the US. And they are setting up these smaller robots in all the branches. So everything is programmed out there and it's made out here. Same with the restaurant menus. There's an international brand of restaurants. The same menu that's out there can be used out here. So the same quality that you would get abroad or in a different country or different state, you can get it out here as well. So that's, I think, where the power of AI is more on the positive side. But yes, manpower, to what extent do you think manpower in, specifically in the hotel industry, I'm not talking about even restaurants. Restaurants, there's still time. But as Saurabh already has a customer relations person in, what percentage or what kind of numbers you think, I mean, just an estimated number, you think that could drop down to?
Before I ask that question to Saurabh, because he's the right person to answer that question, you can complete what you're doing on your phone. So the point is that how many of you want consistent service coming out from your staff? Yeah. How many of you have developed SOPs for your team? How many of you have pulled your hair out when that is not followed? Yeah. How many of you fired that staff and got bad reviews when that has not happened? Everyone, right? What about this robot which is powered by a machine that can think and do the same thing day after day, week after week, month after month? Some of you have got wonderful voices. How many of you have talked to a human on the phone as a sales call, customer service, and so on? Right? And how many of you employ that kind of a system in your reservation rooms? Right? Now, an AI machine, a single server, is actually doing this job for 700 people at a time, concurrently, okay? I'm not talking of 700 people. It is like employing 700 people in your room, making calls after calls after calls, day in and day out, no loo breaks, no coffee breaks, no cigarette breaks, no killing unnecessary relatives to take a break. अब आप बताइए होगा या नहीं होगा? Saurabh ji, you already have a system which you're using in Hyderabad. Does that thing take a sick leave? Recharging leave, yes, but sick leave. No issues with labor laws. I forgot the labor laws aspect. Yeah. So I don't want to answer that question for you. I only know that everyone's job is threatened. So, but there's a line in that, right? So we thought, we were writing content for people for a very long time, and very different from the content that you're writing, ma'am. These are content largely for social media for our clients, and we handle that for CEOs around the world. We initially thought that line of our business is going to be very badly impacted, right? And I'm sure a lot of you have also played around with developing content using for your social media using chatbots. But having done that, you can see it today and tell whether it's AI generated or it's human generated. Right? It's very easy to spot. So the same thing will happen where the use case is not for every job is not threatened. So you've got probably a physiotherapist job, yeah, And how many of you have got friends, relatives who've gotten through NEET and got into a medical college? Yeah. So the radiologist's job, who probably got a very high 3-digit rank, is more threatened than the physiotherapist's job, who got a 10,000, 50,000, 1 lakh rank. Because the difference is something which is easy for you to understand. All of us have gone to and got our X-rays checked or MRIs done of a family or somebody. That job is more threatened than the physiotherapist whom we think is a lowly paid job. So one of the discussions I was happening with somebody earlier was, is the job of the senior person threatened or the junior person threatened? It depends. There's no one clear answer.
Sure, thanks. One last question before we take questions from our audience. In every establishment, I mean, let's assume all the hotels, the restaurants, the F&B industry is now well equipped with AI. Okay, there's always going to be AI smart. There's always going to be this one human element in that establishment who's smarter, who's going to try to beat AI. Now, what is the thing that you could probably look further or look out to where this can be avoided? Where this human element, the person who may be smart, finding loopholes in AI. So where are these sort of gaps that could come in, where these loopholes are there, where the human, the guy operating it could be smarter?
I don't know. Of course, humans are smarter. So it's not called AI for nothing. It's artificial, right? But then the usual challenge is natural stupidity more than artificial intelligence. However, there are people who are smart. You will always have people who will find loopholes. Like I give you the example of my own job, content writing to an extent, right? That job was threatened in the first few weeks of ChatGPT, and we actually lost one client. But the client came back because the moment the client started using ChatGPT to develop the content, you start realizing that it's repetitive content, right? The style of writing. If you've written more than 5-10 pieces, you know that okay, ye to generated by AI hai. So that is one simple thing. See, the problem is not about loopholes and smart people using loopholes. That will happen with every system. So how does our law develop? Our law develops, you've got amendments to the constitution every time there's a loophole which is used by somebody, right? In your own SOPs, in your hotels or restaurants, you add extra clauses in your SOPs after you've discovered some new loophole. I'm sure you're evaluating that on a regular basis with some regular frequency. And that'll continue to happen over here also. You will have people using loopholes, but this thing can think fast. This thing can think very fast. And the point is, you don't have to teach 10,000 customers, 10,000 staff across 100 locations anymore. You are teaching one software which is permeating to a learning from hospitality being used in finance and vice versa. You're dealing with something very smart, but leverage it.
Fine, I think we're good with our questions. Yeah.
Easy one, sir.
Questions.
Hi. We're already using AI through ManyChat for our social media keyword responses, right? But our problem in our hotels earlier with AI was, and if you have AI, for responding on TripAdvisor or on, not LinkedIn, or on Swiggy, Zomato feedback, we have a major problem in responding to customers over there. And one of the worst things I see hotels responding is the same copy-paste, dear sirs, thank you staying for a hotel, blah, 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 which is a waste of time. And a second problem we're looking to solve through AI or automation is tone of voice, which you mentioned earlier as well. Do you have solutions for that?
Yes, I do. We'll talk.
Thank you.
But anyway, the basic point is that using the same tools which are there, you can generate options. If you're looking at, so let's talk about the manual system first. It's always easy to understand something when you look at how was it done earlier. So I'll not go back 50 years ago. I'll probably just talk of 5 years ago before AI came in. Who was responding to reviews? It was a person who had above average English and some basic level of customer service. The important part here was empathy and understanding the hotel policy. You still have to do that, but you have to develop options. Today with AI, you can probably develop 50 options or 30 options for different scenarios. And you don't have to manually do it also. You can take your entire review history, use AI to come up with 10 answers, 20 answers, 50 answers based on your tone and style. So let's talk of different people talking, any public figure talking. No two people talk in the same way. You talk differently from the way your family does, or even if you have a twin somebody has a twin in the room, both twins speak differently. So every person has a particular tone of voice. Every brand also has a tone. So if you have already got some parameters defined, great. If not, that's something that you can define. For example, do you want your brand voice to be professional? Do you want it to be like Zomato, which is fun and pun intended? Do you want it to be more sporty in terms of using sporty terms at times? Do you want it to be informal? So a brand which has got a formal tone is going to be very different from a brand which has got an informal tone. So when you're actually coming out with responses, you have to think through 20, 30 parameters. One of them is tone. Think through those 20, 30 parameters for you, or come to somebody who can do that for you. At the end of the day, you need gourmet pasta more than Maggi pasta. So come to people like us. There are many other people who do it. Or go to somebody in English to try and create a template. It's like a fill in the blanks sheet that you're creating. Where tone ye rahega, voice ye rahega, words ye rahenge. Don't use these type of words. Be respectful, be polite, be professional. Respond back to the person using some words that has come in the review. All these are basic common senses. Plug that in and get that system up.
Now, finally, I was sitting at Prahlad's place a few months ago at the Black Sheep at Panjim as well and having dinner. And I was looking at considering how AI can be used for my customer feedback, not just normal survey and questions, the way it replies to a prompt by me. Because I'm in the kitchen and I would want better feedback rather than a survey A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You think AI can deliver for...
So AI already has chatbots. You also already have AI chatbots, and it's so unlike normal public fear. Most of these are pay-as-you-go kind of things for testing out. So you can actually implement it at the end of the day by putting in something just as low as probably $50 a month, right? But the catch is to train it, to identify the right thing, to get the basic parameters right. You need somebody who's got more experience in doing that. And it's not rocket science. It can be developed by anybody. But the fact is that you have to give in time. And therefore, there's an opportunity cost for you. Will you rather interact with your guests or will you do it? So get somebody who's got experience in that particular space to come in and set that system up for you so that you can keep using that system.
And finally, will AI be in other languages other than English?
It's already there.
Konkani?
It's already there.
Who's using Konkani?
Konkani, Google Translate has a Konkani option. If it's not there in ChatGPT, aayega. Don't worry. I have used it for a couple of languages.
Hi. You used an example of AI being used in cars, in car manufacturing. Very recently, it was discovered in the United States that car manufacturers, without consent of the consumer, have been tracking people's location and data and driving patterns, and that has affected their insurance premiums. Now, this is a case study in the US. If we are providers of a service and I have a customer, there is a sacrosanct relationship that I ensure the best for my customer. How do I get my customer to consent to me having his data, and what safeguards are there to ensure the data privacy for my customer? And also, I know for a fact that the cloud doesn't exist. It's always somebody else's computer. Where is this data being retained? Who has authority over it? And is there any government policies in place to ensure a lack of misuse of this data? Because I can see, for example, in a culinary perspective, if I have a customer who consumes alcohol every single visit, has suddenly stopped consuming alcohol, that's a flag, that's a data point. That means either they have changed their lifestyle or, say for example, if it's a woman, she might be pregnant. This is, I would say, not insensitive data. This is sensitive data. So what safeguards are there for the customer? Because we're presuming consent. We're presuming, all of us in this room, by using AI, that we have our customers consent to collect this data.
So I'll ask you a question, counter question in return. Have you spoken something within your friends or family and closed personal moments, and then you started seeing ads around the same topic on Facebook, Instagram, and so on?
Sometimes, I guess. Sure.
So
active listening is probably a thing, I guess.
Yeah. So this is one way why all the things that you said, yes, I agree. But despite that, them saying that they'll not use your content for anything, it is your WhatsApp chats are triggering your Facebook ads.
I'm sure there must be, which is also a worrying factor because I'm now a customer of WhatsApp. I'm a customer of Facebook. My data is important to me. My data is important that it remains
See,
private.
I wish I could tell you that it doesn't happen, but it's like a Hollywood movie where whatever you can say will be used against you.
Well,
Right?
I have no idea what it is.
So GDPR is another thing. Yeah, Europe has implemented something very strict which does not allow you to store customer data of Europeans unless you have implemented GDPR regulations, and you're not allowed to store them any which ways for more than a purpose that they've given it to you for a limited amount of time.
Exactly. So
Right.
if there is
Sir,
a
hota
customer...
nahi hai, sir. Hota nahi hai. iPhone gets hacked.
Just out of curiosity, if there is a customer coming into my premises, do I need to get him to sign a consent form for temporary possession of his data, for example?
Do you want to answer that question? No, I don't have the answer to your question. It's the same thing as you getting a feedback form filled. That data is going to be stored in cloud. That cloud computer, the server will be located somewhere in the US. That server could be located in China. Whatever you do, that data will get hacked, will be used, will be misused. I guarantee you
So
that.
there is room for misuse.
It will be. I'm not saying there's room. It will be. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Right? Again, a counter question. Right? How many of you scroll on Facebook, Instagram? Sach batana. All of us, right? Okay. Does your spouse know that the name of your boyfriend, girlfriend? Yes. Okay. Okay. Does your spouse know whom you are currently interested in? Yes. Fantastic.
Can we meet your spouse?
Yeah. Fantastic. But Facebook, etc. knows because आप क्या करते हैं? You have that 0.1 second pause when you are scrolling. Right? Wrong? 0.1 second pause. It is not even a 1 second pause. It is not that you want to stop, but that 0.1 second, your finger just stops. Right?
Right.
So your phone knows everything about you. And they're using that data to show that to you. How intelligently, you'll not even imagine. If you use Facebook and it knows that this person normally logs out or tries to log out based on the scrolling stop ho gaya vagara after a certain amount of time, just at that point you'll suddenly see a notification. XYZ person has liked your post. At the right time. Yeah? So I'm repeating this. Whatever you say can and will be used against you.
Just a quick thing to add to that, just a very real short thing. You know, it's an example actually. You know, we do a lot of our promotions and events. So even if I take the phone number physically on pen and paper, you know, of the customer's data, his name, his phone number, email ID, when's your anniversary, when's your birthday, that kind of data. But I am sending him a message on WhatsApp. Please do come to our next event. This event sponsor is greater than. It's an example. Now the customer gets that message, but within the next 20, 30 minutes, he gets 10 different ads of different kinds of alcohol, different kinds of products, parties, on anything, all his social media. It's all integrated. So you may be the safe one. You may say, okay, I've taken everything in pen and paper, but he's got everything already onto his system, coming onto his phone, his Instagram, his WhatsApp, everything, all of that.
I have a question when we human interaction with AI, and one of the things we faced in my earlier job at the firm was we had employees who was in charge of our social media or whatever it was, TripAdvisor, and they locked us out of our own accounts, right? So in AI, in training AI, and I have an employee I'm about to sack, and he gets into the AI system, and he says MC, BC, all that, trains it happily. What's my safeguard against that?
So many softwares that you use sometimes have a writer, editor, and person who finally publishes it, which she'd experienced in the printing and press industry. That's kind of safeguard that you can implement at certain places where but the second part is, I don't know, I don't have an answer to you.
Most of us are solo operators, right? We trust one person, that person backstabs us.
That is a consistent problem. There are certain softwares which have a writer, somebody who writes, somebody who edits, and a third person who actually publishes, which is done in the printing industry excessively. You'll have to implement something like that. Yeah. Need to know basis.
All right, thank you. I think this is an extremely interesting session. By far, it's not over. And we've got a whole lot of questions which we can't, unfortunately, take on stage. But Lalit, I hope you're going to be with us for a while and interact with our audience here. And you're free to ask him. I'm taking the liberty of saying that they're free to interact with you and ask you whatever they like later. Please give him a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Mr. Lalit Saraswat, for making the time to be here with us. Thank you. A small token of appreciation. The one who has a robot in his restaurant, we've chosen him to give you this small token of appreciation from Arihant. And a gift voucher from the park. Let's give it. Please give her a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lalit Saraswat, and thank you to Sid Suhas as well.